Alright guys, welcome back. Alright, so now that we got everything put together, let's tear it all apart and do it again. So I sit, before I raised it up, 28.5 inches with the new springs. I want to be sitting about 2 inches lower than that. I want to see if I can get down to about 26.5. If I can get down to 26.5, I think that will, fit my tire just about right. So what I have to do, take it all out and cut the coil a little bit. I'm going to go about a half coil. They say, online and stuff, that about a half of a coil is a full inch. So we'll find out. So I'll do a half a coil, and just see where it sits. After that, and then of course I have to put it all back together, and then kind of let the suspension settle and everything, and kind of get that measurement. It's just a trial and error thing. Sometimes even though the spring said it was for it drop it an inch. It kind of advertises that, but it really doesn't. I've a lot of things I have a lot more lightweight up front, and the less weight you have, of course, it's going to unspring it. So, because I got a lot of aluminum stuff on, like the radiator, water pump heads, whatever, all that. So I am lightening it up. There's no vacuum tank anymore, so that lightened it up quite a bit. That's like 40 pounds. That sucker was heavy. Stuff like that. So we are lightening it up. All right. So that's what we're gonna do. And see if we can get it down lower. And then once this is lowered, then I can cut what I need to along the wheel wells, and then adjust the back. The back's really easy. You just tighten up that bolt with that longer, or that longer bolt. You just tighten up the nut to bring it up. All right. All right. So I'm just using a box to kind of hold it up in there. That way it doesn't move a whole hell of a lot when I'm grinding on it. Okay, so I need a battery. All right. Cut that way. So if I am cutting that way, sparks will fly. Okay, so anyway, I made my mark. Half coil. We'll clean up the end a little bit, and we'll stick it back in and see what happens. All right, so then kind of moving it around and doing whatever, it dropped it down to pretty close, almost 27. Okay, I mean it's pretty close to 27. Okay, so that 1/2 coil is about 1.5 inches. Okay, so I need to go about another inch. So see how I have to take another. So if it's 1.5 inches, so I have to probably go about 3/4. of a coil. All right, and then of course I had to use a wood block too, and it's from wood block to wood block because the tire is sitting on the wood block, and of course I bounced it up and down, everything. And then the location, people are mixed on where your spring location, where it sets, because there's a seat below and a seat above. The spring before I cut it was, it matched both of the where it sits as seats. All right, so I think I'm gonna go probably another, instead of a half a coil, maybe a quarter of a coil. So all right, and I had to put, like I said, a piece of wood underneath there to be able to get my jack out. So now that it goes lower, the body comes down even closer. So now every time I have to work on the front end, I'm gonna have to drive up on a piece of wood just to get my jack underneath. And I got a very low profile jack. When I did research, it was the lowest one that I could find. So it is what it is. So anyway, I know there'll probably be discussion like cutting the spring and everything will cause different, drivability and everything. But really, the spring, I mean, it's there, for a little bit of absorption, but it's mainly for ride height. It really is. These Corvettes originally came with different springs, and they all came with a little different ride heights, because they were all just a little different. Like basically what I got is what they would consider a big block spring. I went with a 550 pound, so it's going to be a little bit stronger even than that by the time I get done cutting it and everything. All right, so I don't know what the strength will be, but it'll probably be up in the 600s. And people, some people want a softer ride. I'm trying to achieve more of a kind of like with the newer Vettes, just more stability, more, so, something you could take in the turn a little bit and not, feel like you're gonna have that little roll away. So, but your shocks do most of the absorb. It absorbs most of the tension when you hit a bump. So, and I still got plenty of room. When I rocked it up and down, and there's no shock in there right now, so you can really get it to bounce up and down. So anyway, I still got plenty of room. I wouldn't, even if I hit a bump, I wouldn't even hit the top. Okay, I messed up. That's all right though. So here's the gap here for this one. I decided to go a full coil, and I probably could get like a little toothpick in there. It looks awesome being slammed down, but not practical. Live and learn. Kind of pissed me off a little bit. Because I was thinking, I was going by measurements, but when I did the coil, another, because I started with a 1/2, then went 3/4, and then went a full coil. Yeah, I don't know. So something happened there. I'll fix it. I mean, lesson learned. But anyway, like I said, looks badass being dropped that low. But not practical. Not practical at all. So anyway, we'll fix that. But what I'm gonna do is, see, I'm on this side, just barely. I can barely get my finger in there. That's how close it is. So anyway, so but what I'm gonna do is I had to reorder some stuff. So while I'm waiting for springs and whatever, I'm gonna just, I can still turn the tires and everything. I'm gonna start working on the fiberglass. We'll do that tomorrow or whenever I get to it. So while we're waiting, doesn't matter. I couldn't drive it anyway until I get the fiberglass to where the tires turn. So it is what it is. So that's going to be our next thing. But yeah, I screwed up. But that's all right. That's how you learn. I've never cut coils before. So this is the first time I did something like this. So I learned a lot from it. You know, and coils aren't too expensive. They're like 130 bucks a piece, but still it pisses you off. And then what gets you is the shipping costs. So you got 130 plus 130, which is, you know, like 260 for both springs. But it's the shipping, because the shipping is like another 100. They want to charge about 100 bucks for shipping. And you know, that's crazy. So I know shipping prices are, you know, going up and everything, but still, that's kind of crazy. All right. Anyway, let's see if I can get. I think that looks just spectacular, though. Let's see if I can get some of that light reflecting off there away. So I think that looks really freaking awesome. But I want maybe just about 1.5 inches up front. Back here on the back, because I got it as low as it'll go with the those lowering bolts, and that's 2 inches. So if I could do about 1.5 inches up front and 2 inches in the back, I think that is about where I want it to sit. So, and that just looks, you know, kind of real nice right through there. All right, guys, live and learn. You know, sometimes that's how you do it. You learn by doing. So, all right, see you guys next time.